Hello, and welcome to another episode of Healthy Perspectives. My name is Vernon Solomon. Today, we're going to have a discussion about a subject that has touched the lives of so many. October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a time dedicated to education, early detection, and honoring those who have fought this battle. Today, we're taking a more personal look into breast cancer, beyond the statistics and treatments, to hear the story of someone who has lived through it. Joining us is a remarkable and astounding woman whose story of strength and survival will indeed inspire you. Her journey has been one of courage, hope, and resilience. Please welcome Miss Jamila Kerwin, a breast cancer survivor, here to share her personal experience with you.
Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, Jamila.
Thank you, Sonia. It's a pleasure being here.
Your story is so interesting and amazing. Can you tell me about when you were first diagnosed with breast cancer?
Well, I actually found what I thought was a lump in my right breast late 2023. It was later ascertained that it was just a cyst. So I thought, it'll probably go away by itself. I did a mammogram, it didn't show up on the mammogram, and that further made me think it was benign. My OBGYN, Dr. Andre Winter, then said to me, let's do an ultrasound. Did an ultrasound. He said, yes, this is a cyst, but we're not going to play around with this. Let's just do a biopsy. And so I scheduled my surgeries, which got pushed back a couple of times. And all the while I'm thinking, oh yeah, maybe it's getting pushed back because it'll just dissolve on its own. You know, sometimes we don't want to face things head on.
Exactly.
But anyway, we did do that surgery in February of 2024, February 13th to be exact. And of course, I'm on sick leave and I'm waiting to go back out to work, waiting to hear the results and hearing that it was, just a benign tumor. I got a visit from said Dr. Winter, who sat with me and told me it's not what we expected. And from the time he told me that, this is 2 weeks after when we got the results, 2 weeks after the surgery, I froze. I think we all know about that proverbial ice bucket of water being poured over you, and you're almost trying to figure out what is he really saying to me. I didn't cry, I didn't react, I was numb. And so I said, okay, so what are the next steps? He had a but in it. He said, it's not what we expected, but. I said, we caught it early. He said, it was removed during surgery. But the next steps will have to be dictated by an oncologist. And so he referred me to Dr. Hannibal Yazigi, best oncologist in the world. And he would have told me that, yes, we would have to do chemotherapy as a precaution, followed by radiation. And so all of that was a lot to take in. Obviously, I would have to tell my family. And so my mom lives with me. I sat her down first and told her what the results were.
How did your family react?
Well, being the communicator that I am, I always look for, when you're in PR for years, you always look for the positive angle. And so how I said it to them was, how I broke it to them was the most important thing. To my mom and to my children, whom I sat down after I spoke with my mom, I said, well, the tumor that they found was cancerous. However, we caught it early and it was removed. So the margins are clear. I'll have to do chemotherapy just as a precaution, followed by radiation. I made it sound as simple, and we all know chemotherapy isn't a walk in the park.
But the way you broke it down.
The way
Yes.
you were taught to break down the narrative, the most positive first, followed by the bad news in between, and then sandwich.
That sandwich, yes. Yes.
So I think that was how I had to break it down to them first. And once they knew and they understood and they were processing, then I informed the rest of my family. And rest of my family, which meant my sister, my brother, my sister-in-law, my cousins, my aunties, the whole group chat thing. And we had to have personal meetings. And for the most part, even though it was not great news, for the most part, we were all very, very positive, especially when we sat down with Dr. Winter and Dr. Yaziji and they walked us through the process. I think when you have all the information and you're able to process it one step at a time, then you could see your way. But sometimes it depends. I think it depends on your mindset. I think it depends on your mindset as well, because that amount of information could overwhelm anyone. But I think I've been dealing with information all my life in terms of communication.
Yes.
And so I was able to process slowly what the next steps would have been. And so it wasn't easy. I took a drive out to the beach. I sat and I had a talk with God.
Important.
And yeah, I think after that, I began processing and taking it one day at a time.
And so what does that one day look like? What was your day to day after you heard that news and you shared it with your family? You're trying to be positive, but then you have that time to really self-reflect when you're sitting on the beach. And so what happened next? What was the day to day after that?
A day to day wouldn't be linear. There would be an up, and then there'll be a down, and then there'll be a why me, and then there'll be just a down in the dumps, depression, and then back up again. But to be honest, I think what really brought me through those day-to-days, because I was still working, albeit most of it remotely, and that is testament to the great company that I work for. I think support is so absolutely necessary for anyone going through a challenging time like this. And we're not talking about just financial support. We're not talking about just a WhatsApp saying, hey there, how are you going? We're talking about people who show up during chemotherapy to sit with you.
So you had that social and emotional support.
I had that. I had people coming on my veranda and calling through the window, Jamila, is everything okay? And they're always there. My best friend, my A1 from day one. Her name is Sonia too, by the way.
Perfect name.
Indeed, perfect friend. She was the one who was the opening batsman during chemo. She was there for most of them. My sister Michaela, we call her the Major. She's retired from the Antigua Barbuda Defense Force. She was the one who put the plan in motion. She got everybody's phone numbers, everybody's availability. If somebody wasn't able to make it, then we have a plan B, a plan C. Who's going to pick up the kids if my mom can't do it, or if my mom is with me, my sister-in-law will do it. So everybody was mobilized. It was a real military operation.
It sounds like you had a good support system, a wraparound system to help you get through the good days, the bad days, but also to be there with you as you began this journey and as you continue through this journey.
Yes. What I'm also grateful for is that my mom and my children were not basket cases. And I think that's testament to the way that the narrative came to them in the first place. I know my mom was worried. She prayed a lot. And that is so important as well, a ton of prayers. My children were so mature. Joshua is 15, and he's in 4th form. Jordan is 12, she's in 1st. But they were so mature after this whole thing. It was almost as if, hey, mom is really facing this really head on. We're going to do the same. And so I know that they were processing too, but they really, really managed really, really well. They managed well.
It sounds like your attitude about what you're going through really help those around you.
Yes.
So not only were they a support to you, but you were also a support to them.
Indeed, indeed. I have friends from my old class of 1992, Christ the King High School, shout out to you guys, who were sending prayers. There were so many people who reached out to me just to say, I heard about your situation, I'm praying for you. And that is so important. Your village isn't just your family and friends. Sometimes it extends far beyond your home, and you'd be surprised how many people would just reach out. And so I appreciate that. For anyone who's listening, anyone who's watching, I absolutely appreciate that. And even after I rang the bell and my story went out, I was flooded and overwhelmed. I was truly, truly grateful. But I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm going to let us take the story one step at a time.
But it sounds like also just having a routine really helped you. You didn't sit and wallow in it. You continued with your routine.
Yeah, I did continue with my routine because I am very much into movement. I have been in the gym for most of my adult life. I used to run track in high school and primary school. I was house captain. I used to play basketball. And so as much as I could, I still did a bit of walking because sometimes you don't really have the strength to do strength training, but at least some form of exercise. I was still, as I said, working. I worked for the Calvin Air group of companies. I managed the Calvin Air Foundation, and I'm media relations specialist for the Air Group. I still did work at home. I was still training. I am also a coach, self-development and communications coach. So I was training my Queen of Carnival. I was training my Labor Queen. My daughter also entered a competition, the Optimist Petite, and I was training all of them. So I kept it positive. I kept it moving. I'm not gonna act like if I'm Superwoman, I think after coming through this, I think I'm pretty close. But I think that sort of routine and keeping it moving, staying positive, that is what really helped me. If I were to sit down and wallow, then I definitely would have gone through some hefty depression. I think I would have maybe lost it. But mindset, I think, is important. Apart from support, I think mindset is also very, very important. I have started this trend since I hit my 40s. I'm now 49, to reframe things and not to be, what do you call it, toxic positivity? Not to be toxically positive, but to be optimistic and radically accept things. So radical acceptance, and then you process. Reframing things. For instance, I'm sitting here where some people might think, why is she telling people her business? This is a private matter. I'm a communications specialist.
Yes.
I'm a journalist by profession. I've been in the media for years. I've been in the public's eye for years. And if my experience, I think, can help someone else, then this is my calling. This is my purpose. It's not just to stand on a stage or be in front of a camera. There is something higher. There's a bigger calling, bigger than ourselves. And so I think that is why I do what I do, So yeah, I kept my routine. I kept things going. When I was tired, I rested. Of course, there's a plethora of side effects that you could get from chemo, the chemo drugs. I went through neuropathy, some really bad neuropathy from one of the chemo drugs. My legs, the nerve pains were ridiculous. Had to go on pills for that. And then I had to do this vitamin B drip to repair the nerve damage. It's all repaired now, thankfully. And then I was able to come off of some of the pills. But there's so much that you have to go through. And I'm looking back now and I'm thinking, wow, you really did that. You did that. And not by myself. Not by myself, by the grace of God, by friends and support. And even at work, my work family, phenomenal. My left hand and right hand, Patrice Jacobs, my media associate, phenomenal. My work family at the Air Group, everybody was so supportive. Our HR, Forcia and Joseph. There's so many people who were checking in on me. When I came into the office, they were like, what are you doing in here? You're supposed to be home. And I'm like, no, I need to see people.
Right, got to stay busy.
And stay busy. So I would go in from time to time and stay busy. So the routine, very, very important. The gym thing, I wanted to be more heavily involved, but of course, when your body is weakened, you can't do as much. but I tried my best to stay as active as possible.
And your positive attitude seemed to get you through. When you think about others that may be experiencing what you have experienced, are experiencing, what would you say to someone who doesn't have such a support system? What advice would you give them to get through the tough times?
Well, first of all, faith for me is very important. I'm not talking about all of a sudden being super religious, because Bible does say faith as small as a mustard seed.
Exactly.
So even that. There's one thing that I mentioned earlier in terms of not wanting people to know your business. There are some people who don't have the support because they don't ask for it.
Yeah.
And Bible says you have not because you ask
That's
not.
not.
So my advice, first of all, is to reach out to a community of people who would be understanding, maybe even your church. Find a group who can assist you. If your family or your friends, you don't have family or friends to support you, there has to be someone, a prayer warrior that you could phone up, or a friend of a friend who has been through that same situation, or maybe organizations that deal with breast cancer survivors or any other type of cancer or illness. Find an organization that deals with that particular thing and find out if somebody could help to support you. And maybe they can get the word out that this person needs help. Maybe go with that person every Wednesday for chemotherapy. You know, you wouldn't know unless you ask.
So don't do it alone. Don't try to do it alone.
Don't try to do it alone. I can't force anyone to have a positive mindset. For me, I don't know how else to be, right? And not that I haven't had my down days, but that helps to pull you up. There are many therapists here that people can talk to regarding maybe depression or not being able to manage through the process. So reach out to someone who knows how to get in touch with a clinician or a licensed therapist to help you through. So you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. I know everybody would say, you know, pray. It sounds very, very simple, and sometimes it's not what people want to hear.
Right.
So aside from that, there are people whose purpose on this earth is to help, and you would not know unless you ask.
Yeah. So ask.
So ask.
That's the big answer.
I'm telling
Ask.
myself too, because I've had to learn to ask for help as well. Even though I've had this great support system, I'm also very hyper independent.
When you're self-sufficient, it's hard to ask.
Exactly. So it's hard to ask, but I was forced to. And there are certain areas where I wouldn't have been able to do something, and I had to call someone, can you do this for me? And they were only happy to help, you know? So yeah, I believe in asking.
When you think about your journey and how you found out, what would you share with others about early detection?
Oh, I know everybody's looking at me and thinking that she should have known better because I didn't do my mammogram when the doctors stipulated that you should do your mammogram. I did my mammogram when I found the lump. And I'm going to use my lapse in judgment to tell all the women out there, please do your checks.
Especially if there's a family history.
Exactly. Self-checks, your regular checks, your annual checks. Early detection saves lives. Thankfully, my early detection came from just lotioning my skin and finding this thing there. And I'm like, what is this? You know? So, yeah.
It's not just October.
It's exactly. And I wanted to say that as well. Breast cancer awareness is not just limited to October. This is a story, and this is a situation that transcends just the recognition of it. So that is why I decided to open my year speaking about it. I've spoken about it at my children's school when I first rang the bell and spoke to the St. Anthony Secondary. Lawson was chasing me to come do Healthy Perspectives. I wasn't able to fit it into
This is
my
important to
schedule.
share.
It is important. I was on Twin Island Media as well with Darren Matthew Ward speaking about it, and I plan to do some more talks about it because it's very important that we get the message out there. And if anyone under the sound of my voice can be influenced to do their self-checks and to visit their doctors annually, then I think we will have a lot more stories like mine.
Tell me about the day you rang the bell.
I did my last chemo treatment. And let me just back it up a little bit. I sent out invitations. Now, I know Sir Lester Bird Medical Center probably has never had the amount of people.
How many people were there?
Oh boy, there were about 30 people from my village. Village as in not my village, physical village, my family and friends and, supporters and well-wishers, my neighbors. I asked, can I send you a list? And how many people am I allowed to have? And the list kept growing and growing. So I sent out this invitation to say, look, I want to do this and I want it to be made public. I worked at ABS for a number of years. As I said, I've been in the media, and I think this would be something amazing. October 2nd was the day, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I thought it would have been so significant. And so my family and friends came, they joined me. I finished my last treatment. I had a friend, Anja Norford Lavier, she made my cake, beautiful cake. I got drinks, and it was just a celebration. And I had this big sign done. Today's my last chemo. Keep calm. It's my last chemo day, something like that. And when I came out, one of my friends put on this song and Champion, and I came out dancing. It was so liberating. I mean, I was tired. I felt drained. I had no hair. Everything, my eyebrows, hair, eyelashes, everything was gone. But I felt so absolutely amazing. I did a little speech. I spoke about early detection. Dr. Yazici also lent his voice to that. I gave gifts to the oncology team because they're such amazing people, amazing caregivers. I didn't feel like I was a patient. I felt like, I made this joke every time I sat in the chair. It felt like a British Airways or Virgin Atlantic flight because you could recline. They gave you the neck brace pillow. And,
you were in first class?
Oh yeah, I was in first class. That's how I felt. They gave you first class treatment. And so I felt like I needed to just give them a token of appreciation. The company I work for, we have several different organizations. So there's Calvin Air Helicopters, and then there's Blue Lux Villas. And so we gave prizes of a helicopter flight and overnight stay. Nurse Phillips and her team, the oncology team, amazing, amazing, amazing. So I felt brand new. I felt brand new. And knowing that that would have been the last chemo, it gave me a sense of, euphoria. My mom, my children were there. My children spoke. My daughter broke down. My son stood up like a little man,
yes,
and he gave his little spiel, And I just felt like, yeah, this is a second wind. I have a new lease on life, totally different perspective. I always thought that when I hit my 40s, I was living intentionally. I think now I really am living intentionally, and I mean to make a difference with my voice, besides just reading the news or, hosting a show. This is really what the calling is, and so it has given me a new sense of purpose. After I rang the bell and everybody cheered, the following Wednesday, I got up and I went, I'm supposed to be doing something today. What is it I'm supposed to be doing today? And I heard somebody say, not chemo, because I was done, and I completely forgot, because that routine for 6 months was already stuck in me. And then after a while, I just had to wean myself off of that and get back to truly, truly living and making a difference.
It's just an amazing story.
Yeah.
Tell me where you are now what you're doing now as
Mm-hmm.
we begin to wrap up. What are you doing now, and what advice would you
Mm-hmm.
have for others who may have to go through a similar journey?
Well, I'll tell you this. I got a call just today from a gentleman who went through prostate cancer. He said when he saw me ring the bell and how public I was, he didn't want to do his treatment, but when he saw it, he booked his flight right away, went and did his treatment. So he called me today to say thank you. There's another friend of mine with a similar situation like mine she's going through, and she calls me all the time, and I call her just to encourage her. There's another friend of mine who was she's in my chemo batch, was in my chemo batch. She had to do a double mastectomy. But I think all of us coming out of it or going through it have developed this resilience, is the word. And I know for me, I feel the need to share, and I feel the need to encourage and inspire, which is one of the reasons why my show that I have for the Calvin Ayre Foundation is called Inspire as well, because it's geared towards inspiring and empowering. My advice to anyone going through, and we said it before, if you don't have the support, ask for it. And try as much as you can every single day to maintain some sort of positivity. I know everybody has a different stage. Mine was staged at 2 and then subsequently downgraded to 1 because my case was, for cancer, the best case scenario. And there are some people who are going through stage 4. There are some people who are struggling with stage 3. My advice to people around them is also to stay as positive as possible, because someone going through may not be able to do it for themselves. You need that positive upliftment. Mindset is almost number one when you're going through anything like this. Read positive books, listen to positive affirmations. That was me. I was overwhelming myself with just maintaining that mindset. Mindset for me is everything. Yeah, so I think that's as much as I can do. Follow your protocol according to your doctor's recommendations. I know Dr. Yazigi and I have gone back and forth on some things. Why do I have to take that? And you inform yourself, you research, inform yourself, have your conversations with your doctor so that you can do what's best for your body as well. I am looking to head off to Colombia on Sunday, 19th January to finish my protocol. And I know that that'll be the even more rejoicing because I'd be finished. And of course, I'd have to do my checks after that and to continue to be as positive and to eat as clean as possible. I still have the occasional glass of wine.
Of course.
But yeah, it's a second lease on life for me, and I want to make it count.
Jamila, you are truly resilient and a positive light. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you for
here
having
on Healthy Perspectives.
Thank you so much, Sonia.
You're watching Healthy Perspectives. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to highlight a few important takeaways from Jamila's journey. First, the importance of early detection, that it cannot be overstated. Regular screenings and paying attention to changes in your body can make all the difference. Secondly, never underestimate the power of a support system. Whether it's family, friends, or healthcare professionals, having people in your corner can provide the strength to keep going, even in those tough times. And third and finally, for anyone currently going through this, remember that there is hope. As Jamila has shown us today, it is possible to come out the other side stronger than ever. Let's continue to raise awareness about breast cancer, encourage the women in our lives to get screened, and support those who are going through this journey. And please join the conversation. Continue to follow us using the hashtag Healthy Perspectives. Take care of yourselves. We thank you for spending some time with us and for allowing us to share healthy perspectives with you. Be well, Antigua and Barbuda, and may your perspective always be a healthy one.